When you get a video, it's going to have usually 4 tracks. The first one has everything in it. You can delete it. And this one is going to have the in-game sounds and the in-game voices. Then this one is just my voice. And the last one is Discord. Now, at the moment, there's nothing on the Discord one because I didn't have anybody. So you can delete that and just work with these 2. Whenever people see that I post a video, I want them to think, okay, I'm going to relax back and watch this video and have a couple of laughs, or at least that's what I'm going for. And if it's not obvious, I am a Christian, so keep it PG-13, cut out the cuss words, just keep it family friendly. When editing a full gameplay like this, it's not a highlight video, it's not a montage, it's not a clutches and funny moments, it's a full competitive gameplay. So you should take the viewer from the beginning all the way to the end of the gameplay, and that's going to be our timeline. In this timeline, you're going to remove a lot of the parts that are boring, that don't need to be in there and stuff like that, but you still have to leave enough information for the viewer to understand what's going on with the gameplay. After you removed everything that needs to be removed and you have just the essential gameplay, then we're going to elevate it. Recent studies show that the video attention span for people is between 15 seconds to 8 seconds. The younger they are, the shorter the time is. That means that if they're watching something for 15 seconds and nothing interesting or entertaining happens, then they're most likely going to get off the video because it's boring. Obviously, it's not a rule, so it's not 15 seconds perfectly, but if 15 seconds here, 15 seconds here, 15 seconds here, 15 seconds here, then they're most likely going to get off the video. So the goal is to keep the viewer engaged into the gameplay that they're watching. If you cut too much, then they're not going to understand what's going on, and that's going to be confusing. And then if you leave too much in, then that's going to be boring, not entertaining, not fun to watch, and they get off of it. We have to find that perfect balance between information and energy. Right now we have timeline and energy. How you choose to edit the video, elevate it and energize it, it's totally your choice. What I personally do is every 30 seconds of edited footage, or let's say a whole round of CSGO, if I have to put a whole round, I'll go through it and I think, okay, what's boring about this? What can I take out but still make sense? Is there anything that I can make it funny? Is there any text that I need to add? How can I elevate it? At the same time, you want to be careful not to go overboard and just make it way too many memes, way too much text, and way too much, just keep it subtle, but how can I make it more interesting? For example, flashes, camera zoom ins and stuff like that you can use to cut the footage a little bit shorter. This is the footage that I posted on YouTube. I get 3 kills, right? And then nothing happens for a very, very long time. And then the other 2 enemies come in here and I get the ace. There's a lot of points in here that I'm talking, but for example, right after I get the 3K and I fall back a little bit, I can, for example, and I'm doing this a little bit fast, obviously, you should spend a little more time to make it better. You can zoom in right here where I'm talking to the camera. So for example, it can be from this scene, go all the way to right here where I'm talking that I have 14 HP and best of luck to me. And then from here where the enemies are pushing into B, so we took all that boring part and just put it right where the action happens. If you want to go even more, then you can kind of cut this here to like right where the action happens, like right where I move my mouse and they pop on the screen. Obviously you want to try to make it like not stick out too much, but boom. So that way we cut out boring stuff and we just kind of keep the viewer constantly engaged. Flashes are also really good. For example, I know this is not where you would cut, but let me just give you an example. If let's say right here there's a flash, right? What you can do is, let's say that it's boring all the way till here, you can add this additive dissolve or whatever it is, the one that makes it go to full white, and you can take this scene from here with that flash into this scene that it looks almost seamless. Now I want to talk a little bit about the sound, and I'll put this up a little bit here back to normal, which is 0 dB. If you don't know too much about audio, then I mean, I hope this is going to make sense, but basically it goes from minus whatever this is all the way to 0. 0 being kind of like the neutral. I recommend to edit all the videos to this one here, -6. Obviously, like all these numbers as you go down is -6 dB. So I recommend to edit this footage. Here, let me just take this down just a little bit here. So you can see that this is kind of going at about 6. That's where I want it to be. Especially when it comes to sound, the last thing I want for anybody is to like take off their headset and go like, ah, that was too loud. So we gotta be careful with the sound. My voice is gonna be #1. So while editing the video, you wanna make sure that my voice is the clearest thing they can understand, because that's why they're watching the video. The gameplay and the in-game sounds, I recommend to be anywhere from -5 to -15 dB. And by the way, you can add compressors and EQ and stuff like that. And if you need any help with that, let me know. I can give you guys some easy tutorials that I found. What you want is my voice to be on the top, the gameplay and the in-game sounds just a little bit below it. So if there's a lot of talking, they can still understand what I'm saying. And then memes, sounds, pictures, wah, 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 whatever sounds you add should be about the same as the gameplay. And you know, we shouldn't be too crazy loud. If, for example, let's say right here we have, and I'll just record it really quickly. Hold on, like wah, 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 wah. All right, so I know it's gonna sound bad, but if we play these two on top of each other right here, wah, 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 then you can't really tell too much. So one thing that you can do is right where this one starts and ends, you can lower the sound for that. So then that one, wah, 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 wah. So you hear the sound and whatever's on the background, and obviously you can, you know, edit this to kind of like make it zoom in a little, I mean, fade in a little bit there and fade it a little bit back out here. So, you know, it doesn't just drop the sound. You want to have my voice, the gameplay, in-game sounds, TeamSpeak, Discord, whatever it is, as the second layer. Finally, the background music, and you don't always have to have it. I found out that it helps a lot with the flow of the video. What I recommend people is to do between -20 to -39 or 40 dB. It just depends on the song. But the idea of it is you want to hear the game, you want to hear the voices, and then also the music to not be too distracting or to take away from the game. I don't expect you to stick to these numbers specifically, but this is just a guide kind of to where you're going. Every sound is different, every music is different, but hopefully this gives you an idea of how I want it to sound. We have timeline, energy, sound. Let's talk about the audience. I took a screenshot of my audience, and as you see here, it's 13 to 34. Now keep in mind that there's a lot of young people on YouTube that when they sign up, they put it a way older age. This is where they watch me. You can see that 63% of my views are on mobile. And if you want to go through all these countries here, you'll find out that about 25% of my audience has English as their main language. This means that if you guys use pictures and memes and whatnot, you want to try to stay relevant and make it, you know, for this generation. When you're editing the footage, you can scale it back down a little bit in size, about the size of a phone. So if you add any pictures, any text or anything like that, you want to make sure that you can read it on a smaller format. And finally, my content is in English, but only 25% of them speak English as their main language. If there's ever a funny joke or something that's integral to the gameplay, like right here,
how are you gonna kill the guy you just invited like that?
Like the guy was like, how are you gonna kill the guy you just invited to? Because somebody on the other team I invited to my gameplay prior to this game, you know, if somebody that has no idea what this guy just said is not going to be able to hear him over the gunshots and over everybody talking. So that's why it's good to add a subtitle. That's going to help him make the point, and for the viewer that doesn't speak English to be easier to understand what's going on. Keep in mind that's 70% of my audience. Timeline, energy, sound, audience. And now we're going to talk a little bit about text. When editing the text, you don't want to have it way up high and way down below. That's because on the bottom, YouTube has the controls and timeline and play, and at the top they have that kind of screen that puts the title and whatnot. The text should be clear, and don't use colors that don't really complement each other. If you want to up your text skills, then just type in something like modern typography and just go to images and just get inspired by some of this text, some of the you know, effects they use. Something like this font and this text effect, it wouldn't be understandable. Something simple, strong, a little bit of drop shadow or outline. I think this type looks really good, and you know, I have like a few different, you know, saved versions of it that I can just kind of pick. So you can probably just save a couple of presets and use those. A bad example would be this right here. Like that's not a good font. This is even worse. So you want to make it simple and easy to read, especially on phones. That's 60% of the people watching on their phones. They gotta be able to read. As far as how you animate it and elevate it, that's totally up to you. Timeline, energy, sound, audience, text. Now, if you guys ever need anything, just ask me. If you're ever editing something and you get an idea and you don't have the footage for that, just get in touch with me. If you need me to record a voiceover, if you need me to record a little skit or something with my webcam, just get in touch with me and I'll get it done. If we can get your idea taken to the next level, make the video that much funnier, that much better, I'll gladly help you out. You're not stuck with the footage that you get. If we can take it to the next level and have the best videos on YouTube, let's do it. Timeline, energy, sound, audience, text, ask.
Continuity.
continuity. That just means to be constant and consistent. The viewer doesn't know what you know when you're watching this video. So if you go from round 1 and then cut into round 2, then go into round 3 all in a couple of seconds, then the viewer might not know what's going on and get confused. For you who are editing this footage, you're gonna see it all and spend a couple hours on it, so you know it 100%. But the viewer has to take in a lot of new information, so you gotta help them stay on track with the timeline. You can zoom in on the score or zoom in on me talking about the round, whatever it is, just help them keep informed of where they are in the gameplay, because the whole point of this is taken from the beginning all the way to the end. One thing that I do, especially in the rounds that I die, is, you know, I'll show the gameplay of how the game is going, and then if I end up dying while it's still on this death screen, I will skip to wherever the round's about to end, which actually happens with my teammate dying, and then they can see how the round is gonna end, and then we can go into the next round. If I'm talking here, then just simply mute this, because all they care is how the gameplay is happening. Some of these gameplays are very long. Not every single round needs to be in the video. If it's boring, nothing happens, the viewer can't get anything from it other than just me looking for enemies and not being able to find them, then don't put it in. But if you skip a lot of these rounds, just try to figure out a way to kind of let the viewer know where you are in the gameplay, because they're following me along in the game that I'm playing. For example, we have this round here towards the end where I thought it was a pretty good round. Nothing happens for a very long time. Here, let me make this a bit smaller. Nothing happens for a very long time. 2 versus 4. So it's me and a teammate against 4. And you can see that it's all this while here, nothing happens. It's like 30 something seconds. And then I get a Huandig, really cool. Then my teammate dies and it's a 1v3. And then nothing happens for a very long time. I go plant a bomb, you know, and I fall back. So you kind of want to like edit that down kind of to let the viewer know that it's a 1v3. It's kind of a clutch situation. It's kind of like building up. And then luckily, you know, I'm able to, you know, get 2 of them down here and spawn. And then the last guy, I play around with him as he's defusing the bomb and I clutch the round. But this is a very long round to show unedited. So we got to edit it down in a way that still shows everything that's happening without taking too much from it. I just thought about this, you know, right here, it's a 1v3. I just thought that, you know, we can have like heartbeats like, and then, you know, kind of have like, and then zoom in on my face, you know, kind of show that it's a 1 versus 3, you know, back to the action, you know, and I don't know. I'm just thinking of stuff. On the other side, you have rounds where it's like this one, and, you know, it starts 5v5 as usual, and then nothing happens for a long time. And then we finally start getting a couple of picks. If I zoom in right here for a second on the mini map, you can see that me and my teammate, we've taken control over B, and then our guy with the bomb for some reason is on A. Right here would be a perfect opportunity to show that it's a 3 versus 1. This is a round that we should win, but our teammate's really far with the bomb, and, you know, we're running towards them. And then our teammate for some reason decides to plant the bomb, and literally the moment he plants it, he gets killed, because the guy was hiding outside. And you can kind of show the disappointment and frustration as we try to run, and especially that he planted in the corner where we can't see it and we lose the round. A lot of people just kind of skipped over this round, but I feel that for somebody that's engaged in watching the video, this is like a very important round, you know, of a build up, and that's the round that took it to the 15th round, which means that, you know, they're either about to win or they're going to tie the game. And I don't know, just a lot of people skipped over this. Another thing, and I'll just use this picture for now, it doesn't really matter. But if you're gonna use any video, any pictures, just kind of make sure that it kind of fits on the screen. You know, like whatever, you know, like 16:9, because that's what I'm editing. You know, I'm not a big fan when, you know, it's like weirdly, I mean, like if you need to put it like that, yeah, but, you know, when it's like a big image and it's just kind of like gameplay, like blur the background or something, I don't know, just make it look nice. A lot of times it's going to be footage from the stream, and I will be talking to my stream. Think of a number between 1 and 100. Most of the time, none of this needs to go in at all. If you need to use this footage, you know, because let's say this is the end of a round or something and I'm talking to the other, just mute my mic and show the footage, because the viewer is engaged in the gameplay that they're watching, not me randomly talking to somebody random. Also, a lot of times you'll hear like my keyboard and stuff very loud when I'm not talking in game. So if there's a gameplay in the background happening and I'm not talking, but you're showing it and you hear these, and just make sure to take those out. You can just simply mute my audio level for that. In this one, we don't really have an example, but in terms of idiotic people and trolls, we have to find like that perfect line between what's funny and what's abusive. So let's say we have a teammate here that's like, Nick, you're so fat, it looks like you ate a whale, you know, or something like that. If I put that in a video, people that are going to play with me in the future are going to think, oh, let me insult Nick, because the worst I insult him, he's going to put that in a YouTube video. So we don't want to encourage that kind of behavior just so people, you know, can get in my video. So, you know, we just gonna mute that, shut it out, cut it out. However, if it's a team sort of like argument, if we're talking about a round, if it's something funny or something that can be used, then, you know, go ahead and use it. We just gotta find that line between what's usable and funny and what's really messed up, rude, and should never be heard online or encouraged. And I'll end the video with this, but how you start the video sets the pace for the rest of the video. So make sure that the intro, even if you have to go back in the gameplay and take a scene or something to start with a good little intro. Usually I try to, you know, say something funny like, what's going on everybody, we're starting here, you know, I'm trying to give you guys some introductions for the video, but spend a little more time on the video, because how you started, that's the first impact that the viewer gets, and that sets the mood for the rest of the video. So if you need to spend a couple more minutes on that, please do so. If you guys have any questions, you got my email, go ahead and do it.